The Houthis have attacked the Yemeni government. The IDF is still hammering Hezbollah. Egypt has unveiled a new octagon. It's like the Pentagon, but like 12 of them. It's insane. And as well as some of the terrorist proxies of the Islamic Republic getting some new directions and orders, perhaps, as well as the Islamic Republic repicking up activity in their Pickaxe Mountain and their nuclear facilities. And the Strait of Hormuz is officially closed once again. With all of that, let's start with the biggest piece of news, which is undoubtedly going to be the Strait of Hormuz situation. And so, getting onto that, here is the Strait of Hormuz that we all know and dearly love at this point. This all began last night when some strange things were happening. So, in these pictures, you can see that at the beginning, the route is going to the south side of the Strait of Hormuz, but all of a sudden, the ship decides, oh, nope, I'm going to avoid that. I'm actually going to go towards the IRGC route. And all of these ships were on the same strait, and this one just straight up is turning around. And people are wondering, why did that happen? It was scheduled to go through the Omani route under US protection, and they're all going through the IRGC route instead.
Huh.
Well, we actually told you guys that there was a swarm of speedboats. The IRGC speedboats are back at it again. They started coming out yesterday, and they are threatening ships with radio calls and their, RPGs and all of that, and telling them, if you go through the Omani route, we will mess you up. And ships are deeming it to just straight up not be worth it to go through the Omani route with the US protection, or instead opting to go through the IRGC route instead. I don't know how this is going to play out. I can't imagine that the Americans would be happy about this, but as of now, the majority of ships that were passing through the southern side, through the Omani route, are being rerouted or not passing through at all. Some of them you saw were turning around. Armin, what do you think about that? Do you think the US is going to sit by and let that happen?
I mean, they should not. That would be.
You should
This
not.
is this. Yeah, this is the most important part of the ceasefire. Everything is
Yep.
now about the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, I understand the Islamic Republic's frustration right now, because given that the Hezbollah leverage is now becoming less and less a leverage, everything they have to basically double down on the Strait of Hormuz. If it's either Strait of Hormuz or nothing, because they're losing Iraq, they're losing Lebanon, they're losing everything. So given that they're losing everywhere else, they have to double down over here.
Absolutely. And we knew that would happen too. We called that out specifically for them to do this. And unsurprisingly, they are. Not
Yes,
only are
yes,
they
you're right.
closing down the
We
strait,
did,
we did. We
Ali. You're so
absolutely
right.
called this straight on. We said this would happen.
Yeah, exactly. We said they would double down on the Strait of Hormuz the weaker they get in Lebanon. Yes.
Because no one else was following the proxies as much as we are.
That's
So
true.
the strait is closed again, ladies and gentlemen, unless the US is passing ships by in the dead of the night, which I don't think they are as of the last 24 hours, because the IRGC speedboats are actually physically there at all times of the day. They're patrolling the area. So they would know with their own eyes. They can't use radar anymore to see, because they don't have any more of those. But they've resorted to using human radars in the form of speedboats, and it is being quite effective for them. The US has tried to provide much more firepower. They put more refueling tankers, more jets, more warships in the area, but ships are still refusing to go through with the protection of the United States. We might see an angry Truth Social post about this, open up the strait, you bastards, kind of thing again. Or we might just see, who knows at this point, really. I thought I knew logic when it came to this whole scenario in the past 6 months. I feel like I've unlearned everything that I once would have thought. What do you think was going to happen now? Do you think there's going to be strikes?
U.S. strikes, maybe, yeah, but not a. I think it's gonna. I mean, what you could expect based on what we've seen before, if that's anything to go by, is limited U.S. strikes to punish the Islamic Republic, but at a level that doesn't escalate this to an all-time, to a like a head-to-head, low tension taking out of some major assets around the Persian Gulf. But yeah, at a level that we could consider the punishment, but not at a level that would make escalate the war into what we saw during Operation Epic Fury, as usual.
Yeah, yeah, and we kind of knew this would happen. So some people in the chat are saying that the strait is open, just they're turning off their transponders. That's actually not the case either, at least since the speedboats came out, because the speedboats are physically verifying that ships are not going through that strait part. Yeah, and on top of that, Armin, on top of the strait now being closed, the Islamic Republic is proposing at the end of the 60 days to not only have tolls, again, they've come out and said this again, hey, we're going to have tolls, but that we're also going to let ships pass based on a tier system. So if we're closer to like China, then we'll let Chinese ships pass first. If we're closer to, this country, we'll let. So it's a,
Wow.
I know a guy system. Yeah.
Multi-tier system. So we're going to be collecting money, and it's going to be a tiered system based on how close you are to the Islamic Republic.
Which means that United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Bahrain are screwed. So that is their position. I don't imagine that's...
what one thing that might have made the Islamic Republic a bit more bold is Russian support for this, because Russians are very desperate right now over what's happening with them by Ukraine. So they might be interested in now coming here and supporting the Islamic Republic with the Strait of Hormuz to put pressure on the West as a way for them to, and the rest of the world, basically, for them to stop supporting Ukraine or something like that.
Funny you say that. Today, a Islamic Republic government jet departed Moscow for Tehran, and this is largely believed to be Zolghar on board. Very guys, do you have the bingo sheet by any chance, so people can see what his position is?
Yeah,
or we can just say it. But
no, he's in the National Security Council. Let me bring it up.
Yeah, he's one of the top dogs, and he just went and met, probably not with Putin, but with someone high up there in the Russian government at this time, and he's on his way back today. He's missing the funeral.
This guy here.
Yep.
As part of the Supreme Security Council. Even though Pezeshkian is supposed to be like on paper, the main guy in charge in the Supreme Security Council, but you can see that they gave him a small circle. He's actually the main guy in the Supreme Security Council because he's part of the IRGC. So yeah.
Yeah, he's a big dog. Yeah, some weird things are happening there. The Chinese are not objecting to this new situation because, of course, they are benefiting from this proposed scenario. But that is the general Strait of Hormuz situation. I don't imagine it can stay that way for long before oil prices start rising up. In fact, actually, it's the weekend, so it doesn't matter. But going on a little bit more east of that, in the Arabian Sea, just at the mouth of the Gulf of Oman, we have an update on the U.S. sailor who is missing. So if you guys didn't know, on July 2nd, a U.S. Navy helicopter was downed in the Arabian Sea. 4 crew members on board, 3 were rescued, 1 was missing. They searched day and night for the past 48 hours for him, and have searched, every inch of that water and found nothing. And so they have declared that after using, so many different aircraft and ships and all of that, and searching so many different areas, 14,000 square miles, 102 hours of a search, they are concluding that the sailor is dead. And they will withhold this information for 24 hours until the next of kin is notified in accordance with, the military's policy. And so rest in peace to him. That would be the 14th. Is it the 14th? I think U.S. military member who's been, I should know, I think 16th, something like that. So yeah, thank him for his service and everyone else. And going back to the map here, we still don't know. They haven't released info on what downed the helicopter. Probably just a technical.
Sorry
malfunction.
for your loss, Americans.
Yeah. And before we give you guys the funeral update, let's quickly go up to Turkey on Ankara, where we know that this NATO conference happening in 2 days is going to be way more important than the usual. I thought that this would be more of a standard sort of routine, but there is some crazy statistics regarding this. Within this NATO summit, it is in fact so important that the heads and state of governments from 32 countries will be there, with almost 60,000 security personnel on the job. 3,000 press will be active with around 100 cameras and 18 live channels being broadcasting it. So this is going to be a big deal. They're going to talk about some main topics: the Strait of Hormuz, Iran not having a nuclear weapon, Russia, and I think that's about it. Oh, and the aid package going to Ukraine. These are the 4 main topics. So it's Iran and Russia, Ukraine related.
You know, also in this meeting, Turkey is going to be a lot more significant than before because of how much President Trump is supporting Turkey and increased support for Turkey from President Trump and reduced support for everyone else. So Turkey is going to walk into this meeting with a lot more authority than any other meeting they ever had before.
Yeah. Yeah, Trump is going to be there. Who knows what he'll say?
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.